You've probably already seen some amazing looking videos shot with an iPhone on places like TikTok, Instagram, or even here on YouTube, and may be wondering what you can do to get the same quality videos from your iPhone. In this video, I'll be going through camera settings on how to shoot with your iPhone to get the best quality video. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to check out my other video where I go into how to shoot amazing photos with your iPhone. Before we get into it, I do want to say that this is very much oriented to those who have a newer iPhone, maybe a 14 to 15, 15 Pro, because the newer iPhones have more features, more functionality, and also have better lenses and better sensors to shoot those high quality videos. So before we can get into shooting video, we need to actually adjust our camera settings so that we have it set up so that we can shoot the highest quality video possible. So let's see, we're gonna go into settings, and then we're gonna go into camera. And here we're just gonna adjust a few things, and I'll explain to you what exactly they do. So first up, record video. I had that at 4K at 24 frames per second. Now some people might prefer 30 frames, some people might prefer 60 frames, but I choose 24 because that's what most TV shows and movies are shot at. They're shot at 24 frames per second. However, I found out that for social media like TikTok or Instagram, shooting at 30 frames per second or shooting at 60 frames per second can also look fantastic because it can make the footage look a lot more smoother. If we scroll down, I have show PAL formats disabled. I also have, I should have enhanced stabilization enabled, action mode, lower light, HDR videos disabled. Now HDR video, it's just a preference for me. I prefer to shoot video that's not in HDR, but it really is down to personal preference. Auto FPS is actually should be off. Lock camera is disabled, and lock white balance is also disabled. However, lock white balance can actually be a very useful feature when you're shooting high quality video. ProRes log sort of footage, but I think for most people, it's okay to have that unlocked or unticked. We're gonna go back and we're gonna go through some other settings. Record slow-mo isn't a feature that I use that often. I think you can choose any feature here that you like. Record cinematic. Again, I have this at 24 frames per second in 4K resolution. When it comes to formats, we're actually gonna go to ignore most of this stuff here because most of this is for shooting pictures, but we're gonna go down to the bottom and where we have Apple ProRes and ProRes encoding. I do have both of those enabled, and the great thing is you can actually quickly enable them or disable them from when you're in the camera app. But the ProRes encoding, which I currently have as log, is only available on the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. It's only for those phones, so if you don't have that, then unfortunately you won't see that. For preserve settings, I do have it on for the camera mode, and that way you don't have to keep constantly changing your settings. Once you change it once, it will set and you don't have to go back and forth all the time. Creative controls, depth control, macro control, all of these you can see I have disabled. Portrait zoom, I do have that enabled, but again, that's mainly a photo thing. And then for ProRAW and resolution control, keep that enabled. So yeah, you can play around with these. I have them like this because it makes my life easier when shooting video. If we come out of here, we can see a few other settings. I have record stereo sound disabled. I just find that it's easier to record mono sound. Again, this is really down to personal preference. Use volume up for burst, disabled, scan QR codes enabled. Under composition, we want grid on and we want level on. Those two features are very, very useful when it comes to lining up shots, making sure that your camera is level and you have the right composition. I highly recommend having both of those features enabled. Then as we scroll down, again, we see all these features are mainly for shooting photo, so you don't have to worry about these too much. But if you wanna follow what I have here, you can follow what I have. Another important thing to note here is when it comes to shooting Apple ProRes on an iPhone that only has 128 gigabytes of storage, it'll be limited to shooting ProRes at 1080p. Now you can change that by connecting an external SSD. I would highly recommend connecting an external SSD anyway when you're shooting Apple ProRes because those files are gonna take up so much storage on your iPhone. It's absurd how ginormous those files are. So it's gonna make your life a whole lot easier if you have an SSD. So now we're gonna go into the camera app, and I'm gonna show you how to set it up to shoot video very simply for places like TikTok or Instagram. So again, make sure your camera app's open. We're gonna make sure that ProRes log is turned off. Again, it's already off here for this video. You can simply just tap it to do that. You see here, or you can tap it again to enable it, disable it. Same thing with the 4K or the HD. You can switch it to 4K 30, 60, 24. All of those options there will make it a lot easier for you when you're shooting videos. There are a few other options, of course. We can swipe up to have a look at some of those here. Again, this is kind of changing your focal length. You can do that. And I don't know if you've seen on TikTok or Instagram, you might have seen like this aesthetic where things look quite dark and moody, and that's very, very simple to do. All you have to do is just affect your exposure meter. So if you hold down here and this little sun pops up, let me just click it here because of my macro mode. Click it here. You can pull it down, and then again, you can have moodier shots, a little bit harder to see in this example, but that sunshine is going to adjust all of your exposure. And again, if you want to have that little moodier shot there, you can do that as well. It's also, I guess, easier to just swipe up, click the exposure, and then again, you can just kind of slide this back and forth to make things brighter or darker. If we want to quickly edit and sort of change the colors of our video, we can actually do that in the Photos app. You don't need any special app to do that. So I have a video here, which I shot lately just of my camera. So what we can do is we can just go and edit that and adjust pretty much anything that we need to. There's a lot of things that we can do. You've already seen that we can do things with the exposure adjustments to make it a bit darker. We can make it a bunch of different adjustments. So you can see here, if I hit edit, adjust, you can, again, your exposure or your highlights. Again, you can change all of that within the Photos app. You can change the color temperature, you can make it brighter, you can make it warmer. You can even go into filters here, and they're not bad. They're actually pretty good. And the great thing is we can just adjust the intensity of the filters. One of my favorites is the dramatic one. And again, you can kind of just adjust it here, slide the amount on it that you want. So if we add the dramatic one to the video, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but it makes it a little bit darker, a little bit moodier. And again, you don't need any special software to do that. So now when it comes to shooting ProRes log footage, which I would recommend for people who are looking to take this sort of photography on your iPhone or videography to another level, where you are trying to get more cinema style video, I wouldn't necessarily say this is a good thing for TikTok and Instagram because it requires a bit more work, but you can definitely do that if you have the right knowledge. And again, you'll need an SSD card because, again, those log footage files are very large. What I normally do is I have a SSD, micro SD adapter. Then once I'm done, I connect to my MacBook and I edit the footage in Final Cut Pro or DaVinci Resolve. If you are wanting to shoot in ProRes RAW, you will need to input your footage into a video editing software of some sort, whether that is Final Cut, Resolve, or Premiere Pro, because log formats are inherently flat and gray and need color correction and color grading. I will make a full detailed video about that in the future to get that real cinematic look with log footage. So that's it for this video on how to shoot high quality video with your iPhone. Hopefully some of you can go out there now and shoot some amazing quality footage with your iPhone. If you found this video helpful in any way, please consider liking the video and subscribing. It's free to you and helps me out a ton. So again, a lot of these features are already in your phone. You just gotta unlock them. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.